Hey, Fast Track runners. Welcome to our second week of our race. I call it a race because truly Fast Track is a sprint, and I'm proud of you all, my dear runners. Hang in there and keep fighting strong. So, I actually like to open up our modules with either a fun fact or sometimes a joke or just something cool I've discovered to open up the week. And this week, I want to share with you something that I learned in my Japanese lesson yesterday. See, I'm taking Japanese lessons and French lessons, and I was speaking with my instructor about cool places to travel in Japan, and she mentioned Hokkaido, which is the northern island, and I was so surprised to see just how beautiful Hokkaido is. Check out this picture of Hokkaido. Wow. Doesn't it look just like straight out of a postcard? So I want to open up with the beauty of Hokkaido as well as these other images that I found here. Check it out. They call it Japan's Winter Wonderland. Granted, that picture that I showed you is of Hokkaido in the fall, but look at how gorgeous it is. One day I'd like to go to Hokkaido. So just wanted to open up with this cool place. So hope you guys have had an awesome week. Hope that this video finds you in good spirits, and hope you've had a good strong start to our race. Proud of you all for really coming in, and I know it's a hit the ground running type of thing, but mad respect to you all. So let's take a look at our syllabus here, because these are the signposts. This week is Module 2. We have a new thematic unit, our very first one, which is intertextuality. So check out the next video for the more details of that and the lesson of that. As you can see, the signpost for this week, we have our very first Success Center requirement, which is session 1. And just like I showed you, those links and those videos for how we're doing the Success Center requirements, and I'll remind you of that in Canvas. So the first one's going to be due April 2, which is coming up. I'm recording this on Sunday, March 8th. And April 2 is right around the corner. Also, as you can see, we have our first essay final draft due, which is going to be at the end of this module on Sunday. So let's backtrack a little. So if April 4 is going to be Sunday, we go back 2 days, then Saturday, Friday. So April 2 is going to be Friday. So your first Success Center requirement is due on Friday, and the final draft for the pandemic essay is due on Sunday, which is the end of the module. Like I said in our intro video, most things will be due by Sundays unless stated otherwise. Also, we have our peer review workshop for our first paper, the pandemic essay. Do pay attention to these dates. You're going to be responsible for submitting your rough draft by Wednesday by 11:59 p.m. and for offering feedback for 3 classmates by Friday by 11:59 p.m. And I'm going to further explain how that's going to work. So stay tuned. Also, as you can see, we have our homework assignment that's also going to be due at the end of this module, Sunday, which will be Sunday, April 4th already. So without further ado, let's go straight into our Canvas page, and here we are. This intertextuality material goes with the other video that you're going to find in this adjoined to this module. And first of all, let's talk about the peer review workshop. And let's go ahead and click that. I'll tell you how this is going to work. So, first of all, let's talk again about the writing process. Anytime that we read an awesome piece of work by any writer, I know that we're always so amazed, and always when I read something beautifully written, I'm like, wow, how on earth did this writer come up with this? But I have to reaffirm to you, my friends, that writing is a process. writing is recursive, it's ongoing. And with that being said, I'm very intentional throughout my class and this one as well to really bring you into this writing process. So with that being said, we first start with we started with the brainstorm, and now we continue with the rough draft. Now, first of all, a rough draft is really just you getting a start at your essay. It's more than the brainstorm and more than the outline. It's you just going forth and starting to write your essay. And I want to make something super, super clear to you, my friends. You ready? There is no such thing as a perfect first draft. I'll say that again. There is no such thing as a perfect first draft. In fact, first drafts are, for the most part, disjointed and all over the place. So when it comes to this peer review workshop, I want you to just, as crass as it sounds, but vomit out your ideas. Just type out, just start writing, and get that idea of perfection out of your head. Because there's no such thing as a perfect first draft. Writing is recursive. It's ongoing. So you're going to be responsible for writing at least 2 pages of starting the essay, right? Of course, the final draft for this paper has a minimum length requirement of at least 3.5 full pages, but I want you to get started and write at least 2 of those pages. No matter how disjointed and all over the place it might be, just get started and write that rough draft, and I know it's going to be awesome. So you're going to be responsible for submitting it by this Wednesday by 11:59 p.m. You're going to submit your rough draft, and I'm going to show you how that's going to work, as well as how to actually work the tools that Canvas allots for us for peer review workshops. So what's going to happen is exactly 1 minute after this date, so it's going to be Thursday, April 1, right at 12 a.m., the Canvas system is going to automatically distribute to you 3 drafts from your classmates to look at, and you're going to be responsible for offering feedback for them. You see, when we're in the classroom, when we have our peer review workshops, that's what we do. We exchange rough drafts and we mark them up. We write the marginal comments, and then we sit down with the person and have a conversation with them about what it is that we saw. So here in the online space, that's exactly what we replicate. So I want to make something clear though. You will only get rough drafts assigned to you only if you submit a rough draft yourself by the deadline. So I want to also remind you that there's no late pass for this. You have to get in your rough draft in on time, because the Canvas system is programmed and scheduled to automatically distribute drafts only for those who actually got in their rough draft in by the deadline. So I'll repeat this again. You will not get drafts from your classmates unless you submit a draft yourself. So that's very important that you get it in on time, and that's at least 2 full pages of your paper. So just get started. Just start writing, and as crass as it sounds, like I said, just vomit out your ideas onto the page and just start writing. Get out the idea of perfection out of your mind. Actually, I remember I did a project in grad school about writer's block, and one of the largest reasons that why writers get writer's block is because there's this idea of perfection in their mind, that they want to get everything perfect out on the rough draft. But remember, there's no such thing as a perfect first draft. Just get out your ideas and give yourself the freedom and the liberty to just write and write and write and write, no matter how disjointed or all over the place it is. Okay, so I'm actually going to send an announcement here with the video that's going to show you how to actually access your rough drafts. Be sure to check out that video, as it's immensely helpful in guiding you to what it will look like from your end when you do receive the drafts from Canvas. So the next thing I want to point out is this part that says workshop questions to consider. So when you do indeed receive your 3 drafts to look at, I want you to bear these things in mind as you proceed forth in your workshop. So first thing I want you to do is to highlight your classmate's thesis. And in this case, the prompt actually gives us a central question, right? Which is, how has your life changed as a result of this pandemic? So absolutely your classmate has to compulsorily answer this question in their thesis statement. And yeah, so make sure that your classmate is indeed doing that and pay attention to that. Now, if you don't see a thesis, if you don't see a place where your classmate explicitly answers this question, how has your life changed as a result of this pandemic, then based on the body paragraphs that you read from them, then you can perhaps suggest to them what a potential thesis could be based on the vein of their writing across their body paragraphs, right? So this is your job to help out your classmates. Take a look at the intro paragraph. Does it clearly introduce the topic of the pandemic before answering how it's changed their life? So remember that when we're talking about the anatomy of a thesis, that it has, number one, the identification of the topic, right? In this case, the topic is the pandemic, right? So you want to introduce the topic rather than just diving straight into it. And then after that is the claim, right? So identification of topic, claim, which is what you're saying about the topic. And in this case is your classmates' direct answer to this question, how has your life changed as a result of this pandemic? And then followed by the direction, right? Which are the supporting reasons. So after they've made their claim, make sure that they establish those supporting reasons, which in this case are the prime examples that support their claim, or in this case, what their response was about how has their life changed. And within their paragraph, do they address gains? Do they address losses? Any suggestions for their intro paragraph? So the intro is really important, as you can see, because it's setting up, it's introducing the paper, right? And the thesis is within that, and it's the heart of the paper. It's the whole project that is laid out. So do pay special attention to the intro. Do their body paragraphs work to further flesh out their thesis? If you see any tangents, then let your classmate know how they can rein the attention back to where it needs to be. So if indeed the thesis is the central project, I like to think of it too like a skeleton, right? The thesis delineates the main points that the writer will hit throughout their paper. It's really a skeleton, right? And I like the name of body paragraphs. It's very appropriate because across the body paragraphs, through things like explanations, examples, maybe bringing in some outside sources to further flesh out the conversation, you're adding corpulence, you're adding mass, you're adding flesh, you're adding body to the main points that you've established for yourself, to your writerly project within the thesis. So I really like that visual a lot because I like to think, okay, I have my skeleton now, which is my main points. I have this in my thesis, my writerly project. Now throughout my body paragraphs, everything I'm going to do in my body paragraphs is going to flesh out this skeleton and thus render it into a place where it now takes shape. So so absolutely everything in the body paragraphs has to work somehow to really point back to their thesis statement. Now, a lot of times we get stuck in these tangents, and this is a place where you can help out your classmate, right? If you see any of those tangents, redirect them back to how it pertains to the thesis, which is their writerly project. So that's the thing about writing. Writing is dynamic. Writing is a project. It's not just rote static templates, but rather we're performing social action. We're doing something. We have this larger writerly project. So bear that in mind. Does your classmate's draft have proper transitions where needed? If not, then offer suggestions. So remember from our grammar lesson, we talked about the importance of transitions, not only within paragraphs, but also from one paragraph to the next. Just like with conversations, right? When you're talking about a certain topic, there's always a point of commonality. There's always a bridge that you use with your friends that links you to the next topic, right? So you want to do the same thing with writing. you want to find that point of commonality, just like we did with the example on Fortnite. Remember that homework assignment from last week? How one moment we were talking about video games and their popularity, and then the next we just flew straight into the particular title of Fortnite. So your task, as you saw, was to find that point of commonality of video games. And the fact that video games are so popular that millions of people watch people play video games on Twitch. And then the connection with Fortnite is that was one of the most popular titles. So you always have to explicitly establish that point of commonality and bridge the topics, right? And if you've ever gotten comments from instructors or other classmates in drafts that say things like choppy transition, then that's exactly what they're referring to. So as you're looking at your classmates' draft, pay attention to their transitions. And if you see that they have places where they're just jumping from one topic to the next, whether they're within the same paragraph or from paragraph to paragraph, then help them find that point of commonality and point that out to them. Do you see any places where bringing in an outside source would be helpful? If so, then let your classmate know. So, of course, this paper is using us as a primary source because we're talking about our experience with this pandemic, but certainly it adds a very important dimension when we provide context behind the pandemic itself and what has been going on. And in order to do that, we bring in outside information. So where you do see places that could benefit your classmates' draft, then let them know and offer some suggestions for that. And obviously, just like we're going to talk about in this week, and the importance of intertextuality and in-text citations and giving credit where credit is due, then pay attention to how your classmates are introducing their outside sources, right? Remember, you want to say what type of source it is, whether it's an article or it's from a book or it's from a documentary. Like, what type of article is it? Who is the person, and why are they an authority figure for the topic itself? Just like we looked at the intertextuality lecture, we gave the example of Macbeth, right? And if you're citing someone who's a Shakespeare scholar, then of course they'll have authority to comment on Shakespeare. So when you introduce your source, you want to say what kind of source it is. You want to obviously say the author's name and just how it is that they're an authority on the topic itself, right? All right, so you want to look at those in-text citations and the works cited page, which we're going to learn to do this week, as well as, and that's going to be supplemented with our MLA practice worksheet, which is this week's homework. Lastly, take a look at the rubric on our prompt. How's the draft looking when seen through the lens of the rubric? So, just to remind you, if we return to our prompt itself, which we saw last week here in Pandemic Essay Particularities, you'll see that the rubric was found within the prompt. So it's always helpful to actually have the prompt open when you're looking at your classmates' drafts, just to make sure that they are indeed hitting the points that are required of them. And that's going to be not only for this workshop, but also for our other ones. So take a look. Here's the rubric. So have this open as you're looking at your classmates' draft, and so that you can have something empirical to look at, right? As you're looking at their drafts. Let's return to the workshop. All right, so what areas of the draft are strong? What areas need some work? And then anything else you'd like to point out? So absolutely. With peer review workshops, the way we help out our classmates is really just writing all over the drafts, just marking it up with our annotations and marginal notes and our comments. This is the whole point. We're here to help, not just say, here, it was good. No, you always want to have a conversation based on the things that you saw, right? And that's what we're doing here with peer review workshops. And that's why workshops are so important, because it's writers, it's talking about the writing with other writers. It's an important part of the writing process. Now I actually want to show you the actual logistics of how we're going to go about doing this peer review workshop. So what I'm going to do is, of course, I'm going to show you first how to submit it. And in order to do that, I'm just going to publish this module for a moment. We'll go into student view. This is a cool feature for us teachers. We can see how you guys see the Canvas page, and also it gives us a test student, which we can see how everything's working. So we're going to go ahead and do that. So you're going to go here, and this is how it's going to look like from you. You go to submit assignment. Remember to do it by Wednesday, right? 11:59 p.m. So choose file. So here I actually have this this draft that was submitted from an anonymous student. This is from the student samples. So let's go ahead and so we're going to upload it and then go to submit assignment. All right. Oh, there's confetti. I like that. That's rad. So now that the test student has submitted, I just want to go over the logistics of this here. So this is how it's going to look like from your end. Let's see. I'm going to go into, the peer review workshop, obviously. Here it is. Peer reviews. Excellent. All right. Let's take a look at, where's test student? It's not coming up. All right, here it is. Speed grader. Okay. All right, here we go. We got it, guys. A little patience, but we got it. Okay, so now, first of all, I want to point out that the markings I'm going to make on this draft in no way, shape, or form reflect the actual value of the content itself, meaning that I'm not going to be marking this based on the actual material itself. I really just want to show you how to use these tools that we have allotted to us. So number one, we have this one, which is obviously to refresh our, to turn it to the side. But this one is if you want to make it bigger. And this one is for bubbles. You can add some comments here. So let's say we want to add this. Yes, this is a very important point. Okay, so that's a comment bubble. This one is if you want to highlight something. Remember that one of the tasks is highlighting the thesis. Let's pretend I identified it as this one. And here you can choose the colors, right? Next one, this is for a text box. So let's say you want to make a text box here. I might say, consider further expanding upon this. Okay, so that's the text box. Next one, this is to strike out text. This S that is struck out. Maybe this seems like extraneous or redundant. Oh, so just click it. And it strikes it out. And what's cool about any of these little notes that you make, any of these little markings that you make, you always have the option to leave a comment here. So you can say, this is an extraneous statement. Consider blah, 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 blah. This one's cool because it's a brush and it lets you draw directly on the text. So let's say that this is like a really important point and perhaps you want to make like an exclamation mark. Yes. This seems to capture the very heart of your experience, or something like that. And then this one is similar to the similar to what we do with the marker here when we're drawing, but this one actually allows us to make a box if you want to box something. And you can always add comments like, perhaps you can add X source. So that allows you to box it. So these are the tools that were allotted for marking up your classmates' draft, just like we do in classroom workshops. Now, of course, in peer review workshops, when you mark up your classmates' draft, you don't just say, "Here, it was good," and then walk away. No, you actually give it to them, and you have a seat next to them, and you have a conversation. You're like, "Hey, Juan, so I went over your draft," and then you go over your notes, and you look at them, and you have a conversation about the things that you saw, about areas of where they can improve, or things that they can further expand on. Because the main thing with the workshop is that you want to make sure that the writer's intention and your perception really align. Because sometimes, like, the way we express something might come off a certain way, but it's not how we intended it. So yeah, that's what's cool about workshops, is that it's a space for writers to speak to other writers about their writing, right? So how this translates here in our Canvas peer review workshop, the actual comments that you leave to your classmate, you do it here. So I do want to make this clear. Offering feedback for your classmates entails both things. Number one, marking up the document itself, and of course I will know that you did it, because from my end it shows who did all the feedback, and it's cool is that it'll say your name here on the side. And then the second thing is that you leaving an actual note for the person. So you'd be like, "Hey, Juan, this is a strong rough draft because blah 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 blah." So the first thing you can do is you can type out your comment to your classmate, or you can do my favorite thing, really, which is, you ready? Media. Click this icon that looks like the Google Play icon. So it's a media comment. And then it's cool because it lets you record a direct video comment to your classmate. So you just go to start recording and be like, "Hey, Juan, so and then what's helpful is that you have another web page open of your actual of your actual comments, right? So that it makes it far easier. So as you have that open, there's good old "Hey, Arnold." Okay. There we go. So yeah, so on one page, have your actual document with all your notes open so that you can be looking at something, right? And then here's like with the comments that you want to leave them. So, "Hey, Juan, so this is a good start to your draft. Here's some strong points that I saw, some areas that you could work on, or this, that, and the third." Because as you'll notice on my comments, and you can even open it, and you can be looking and say specific things, right? So that's always helpful to have that open. Now, if you're not comfortable leaving a video media comment, you can leave only audio. You go to here where it says webcam, and you go to no video, and you can just leave an audio comment, which is also helpful. So that's what you're tasked to do. Number one, mark up the text itself with your comments and your feedbacks, and now you actually know how to work the tools that we have here. Number two, leave them their comment here, whether you type it out or leave a media comment. It's all good. All is good. So yeah, that's your task. The Canvas system is going to give you 3 to look at, and in terms of points, it's going to be 5 points for getting in your rough draft by its deadline, which is going to be by Wednesday by 59 p.m. And then 5 points for feedback that you're going to offer for each of the 3 drafts that you're going to receive. So 5 for your draft on time, and 5 for each of the 3 drafts that you're going to get, for a total of 20 points, right? 20 points for the workshop participation. And like I said, make sure to get in your rough draft in on time so that you can indeed get those drafts in from the Canvas system, right? So let's return to our Canvas page here. I want to make sure that we don't miss any other important logistical details. Okay, so we talked about the peer review workshop. This is the homework assignment link from our MLA practice worksheet, which goes hand in hand with our intertextuality lesson, right? And that's going to be due by Sunday, right, at the end of this module. This next one, Irvin discussion questions. So when I was in grad school, this article was immensely helpful for really demystifying the work of academic writing, what it actually meant to write at the academic level. So a lot of students have often told me that they actually end up returning to this article because it's just so helpful, and it's really liberating in the sense that it presents a lot of myths, a lot of preconceived notions that we come in with concerning our misconceptions of what academic writing is, and it's liberating. So do indeed read this one, and then after that, as you're reading, of course, highlight and annotate and highlight the things that stand out to you, the quotes that are like, oh, right, those are the golden quotes. There's a reason they stood out to you, and then that's actually going to be the task for this week's discussion board from this. What are some of the key concepts or golden quotes that stand out to you from this text? And that's why it's important to mark up your text. How can you apply these to your own understanding of the work of academic writing? Why is this significant? Feel free to embed an accompanying image /video/audio that supplements your response in this topic or idea. So, that's a cool thing. Like, for example, what if you found a golden quote that is maybe shattering the notion that all academic writing is only 5 essays and it's only that static template? Maybe you'll find like a accompanying picture that shatters like I don't know, like a 5-page essay mold or something. It basically, like, if you think of something visual from what it is that you're reading or some concept, or like considering the example that it gives about you being like a lawyer, right? In just like we were talking about in the intertextuality lesson, then maybe you'll find like a gavel. So like if you want to embed some image to your discussion board response here, then by all means do so. So when you're ready, just go to reply, and here's the embed image. Oh, there's the embed image. They've actually made it easier now. You just upload it, so you can add that to your response here. All right, and remember, since this is a discussion board, remember to also reply to at least one classmate's post to get full credit. And I'm sure you'll be returning to this article. It's super helpful. All right. Oh, next one is really important. So, as you can see, we have our very first Success Center requirement, and as you saw from the video here that we have a Success Center requirement, you're going to be given a badge of completion, right? And it's going to be a link actually that you're going to submit to our link for the Success Center requirement. And that's how the Success Center is doing it. And here's the link for that. And the deadline for that is going to be Friday, okay? So make sure to go through these directions here in the videos and make sure that you have that done by then. And that is all that we have for this module, guys. So if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me so that we can set up a Zoom meeting if you'd like, or even through email. So other than that, Thanks for your time and your efforts, and keep working hard, and enjoy your week, guys.